It was a quiet Saturday night in Washington, D.C., on October 20, 1973. But inside the White House, chaos was slowly brewing. Phones were ringing, tempers were flaring, and before the night was over, America would completely lose faith in its president. This was the Saturday Night Massacre, the night Richard Nixon tried to fire the man investigating him, and everything fell apart. To understand what had transpired, we need to rewind back a bit. President Richard Nixon was drowning in the Watergate scandal, a web of lies, cover-ups, and illegal spying that threatened to destroy his presidency. To show transparency, Nixon appointed a special prosecutor, Archibald Cox, to investigate the case. But Cox wasn't playing by Nixon's rules. When Nixon refused to hand over secret White House tapes, Cox demanded them, calling the tapes essential evidence. That demand pushed Nixon over the edge. On that fateful Saturday, Nixon made a fateful call to his Attorney General, Elliot Richardson. Nixon ordered to fire Archibald Cox. Richardson refused. He said he promised Congress he wouldn't interfere with the investigation. So Nixon did what no president had done before. He demanded Richardson's resignation instead. Richardson stood his ground and quit on the spot. Next, Nixon turned to Deputy Attorney General William Ruckelshaus. Nixon ordered again to fire Cox. Ruckelshaus also refused, and resigned too on the spot. Finally, Nixon found someone who would obey, Solicitor General Robert Bork. Bork, now acting Attorney General at that time, reluctantly fired Archibald Cox. Within hours, the Justice Department was in shambles, and America was in shock of the turn of events. The news broke that night, and it hit like an earthquake. Headlines screamed, "Mass resignations shake Washington." Protests erupted outside the White House. Members of Congress began openly discussing impeachment. For many Americans, it was clear, Nixon had gone too far. He wasn't protecting the presidency, he was protecting himself. Just days later, Nixon was forced to appoint a new special prosecutor, and the investigation pressed on harder than ever. Less than a year later, facing certain impeachment, Richard Nixon became the first United States president to resign. The Saturday Night Massacre wasn't just a night of firings. It was a moment when Americans saw the limits of power, and the courage of those who refused to break their oaths. It reminded the world that in a democracy, no one, not even the president, is above the law.